What's happening, guys? Wanted to do a short video from the Florida Hockey Bros channel. Not so much breaking down the Eastern Conference Finals between the Rangers and the Panthers, but really looking at three main areas that I think could easily be overlooked when thinking of this series. And the reason what prompted me to make this video is that I've seen a lot of some of the previews from other channels and other fans and other pundits and podcasts so far. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more conversations this week going into Wednesday. But the main areas that I've seen sort of people focus on are the obvious ones that we tend to focus on, which is goaltending. Shesterkin versus Bob. Both goalies pretty good, but Shesterkin will have the edge because of how he's played in the postseason and just his history and track record more recently in more recent years. The depth of the defense, everybody gives the nudge to the Rangers. I would too on paper. I think the Rangers are deeper. I think they're like a top 3 or 5 defensive core in the league. The Panthers are probably more like top 10. And so that makes absolute sense. The top 6 for the Rangers, more talented in terms of just pure scoring and, puck handling ability. The power play, you would give it the edge to the Rangers in terms of how they've looked in the playoffs, 31%. Versus 22 for the Panthers. Regular season, they were more sort of closer to each other according to the advanced metrics. And then the PK is pretty similar for both teams. I would just say that the Rangers tend to be more aggressive in terms of trying to score, whereas the Panthers are more in terms of killing off the penalties. But yeah, the power play, you would still kind of give an edge with you have Zibanejad and Kreider in front of the net and Panarin and Trocheck and Fox puck handling. That's just, to my mind, better unit than what the Panthers have, which is not bad. It's, I would say, maybe top 5 or 7 in the league, but definitely not to top 2, 3, 4, which I would say the Rangers are. And so, yeah, I think, we tend to look at all these areas. The Rangers finished first in the league. And so it's easy to sort of break it down that way. And I'm not trying to say everybody's like saying the Rangers are going to win. I know most people think it'll be a tight series. But yeah, those are the narratives I've seen. And the Rangers, they're a team that have a long history. And I think that it makes total sense for, the neutral fan to sort of not necessarily root for them. I don't think that's the case, but have a bit more respect for that team or for the history of the team. And just for the names, some of the people on the team that have been around and, they're falling short. I think a lot of people expected that core in the last 3 to 4 years, maybe 5 to maybe make a run and win a cup. So, what I'm trying to look at is 3 areas that I think I'm a Panthers fan. You could accuse me of being biased, but I'm trying to look at the numbers. And again, what I think is that the underlying narrative shows you that I think the Panthers are a really dangerous team and a really dangerous matchup for the Rangers. And in some ways, you could even say have the edge. The first area I'm looking at is the 5-on-5 play, the even strength play. Now, both teams have not been great at 5-on-5 in the playoffs. The Panthers surprisingly haven't been as strong as they were in the regular season. They were a top 5 team at 5-on-5, according to most of the advanced metrics. And I would say even the past 2 seasons, the Panthers have been known for being a really strong, even strength team, both on defense and on offense in terms of creating chances. The Rangers were 21st in the regular season. So I would say that they're more in line with who they are in the playoffs, whereas the Panthers, I think facing the Bruins, who are really good defensively at 5-on-5, and maybe some of the missed chances against Tampa have skewed the numbers for the Panthers. I think the power play for the Panthers have been pretty decent. But yeah, I think that there is a chance here for the Panthers to correct their 5-on-5 play more against the Rangers, who again are not the strongest 5-on-5 team. There's a bit of a similarity there with Tampa, I think, stylistically, where I think the Panthers might have a little bit more space to work with at 5-on-5 than they did against the Rangers. Against the Bruins. And so, yeah, I think in that series we might be able to see the Panthers correct. Maybe not. Maybe somehow, they're just not going to recapture the even strength magic, and that can cost the Panthers the series. And I would probably say that if that would probably be the number one reason if they lose, that they probably lose. But yeah, just to know that I think at even strength, the Panthers can have an advantage, in my opinion, just because of their identities as teams and also the depth. I know that the Rangers are better on paper defensively, the top 6, the goalie, but the bottom 6, even though the Rangers have a really strong bottom 6, pretty decent, I would argue that the Panthers have a deeper team in terms of not just defensively, but physically, and also the ability to maybe score some key goals. I think the Rangers have 9 guys on their roster with 4 more points in the playoffs. The Panthers have 13. So you can see that spreads beyond the third line for the Panthers in terms of the ability and the defensemen, the ability to put up points. So anyway, that's an area where we'll see if it is a factor or not. But if it is, I think the Panthers have a chance to really put pressure on the power play for the Rangers and force them to have to make the most. And they already are clicking at 31%, albeit, they face the Caps. But, even against Carolina, who has a pretty strong penalty kill, they were able to keep it up. So we'll see. The second area is what I would just call aggressiveness. The Panthers average 47 hits per game in the playoffs. The Rangers 30 hits. That's a big disparity. And just their styles, The Rangers are a physical team, or can be. They're big. We know they have Trouba, Keandre Miller, Lindgren. Trocheck doesn't mind being chippy and getting into it. Sabanich is a big guy. Kreider's a big guy. They obviously have Matt Rempe. I don't know if they'll play him or not, but VC, the Rangers can't hurt you. They have big guys, and they make their hits count. And so that's one thing the Panthers have to watch out for. But the Panther style, their hitting mostly comes from the forecheck, not so much from the defensemen, though the Panthers have some big guys who can hit. What the Panthers really do is go after your defense and forecheck and hit you again and again and again. They had one game, I think it was Tampa or Bruins, where they had over 70 hits in a game, and it looked like that. It looked like it. And the Panthers also took a lot of hits, from the Bruins and Tampa. Just go look back and look at the hits per game in all of those, both of those series, and how many hits also the Panthers were putting on. Again, 47 per game, and I think that number came down because the last couple of games against the Bruins, they still put up 40, but not as high as other games. And the other thing is that the Rangers, the Caps were kind of physical, but they're not a playoff team, and they had the personnel to really make a difference or do some damage. And Carolina doesn't hit a lot. It's actually, even though they play hard, and you think that a forechecking team, they're not. The last 2 games against the Rangers, they only had 22, 23 hits per game in those 2 games at the end. And I think they only had 2 games with 31 hits in the series. I think they averaged 27 hits. And their forwards are not super big outside of maybe Martineau and Jordan Staal and stuff like that. A lot of their forwards are more skill guys. The Panthers will hit you every line. They'll go after you. Even Barkov has been hitting a ton. And so it'll be curious to see how the Rangers react, how the Rangers defensemen do when that's the case. Can they keep their heads? Can they not take penalties? Can they avoid turning it over? It will be curious. I don't think the Rangers have faced that yet in the playoffs. And I would even say that Carolina had an advantage from a shots per game perspective, which I'll talk about in a second. And just the energy level, and the games were tighter than they looked, or at least than the 6-game series said. But they just never hit. They never really try to wear down the Rangers. They're just not that kind of team. And I think that actually cost them. So anyway, I think from an aggressiveness perspective, I think the Panthers can try to wear the Rangers down, even though the Rangers can hit back. I just don't think it's in their nature. I don't think they want to do that for 60 minutes. You just haven't seen it. Against Carolina, there'll be scrums, even a fight here or there. And then the rest of the games will be just open back and forth, a lot of passing. With the occasional hit, the Panthers tend to not stop hitting in any shift. So we'll see how that goes, and whether that makes a difference. And the other part of the aggressiveness is the shots on goal. The Panthers have over 100 shots on goal more in the playoffs than the Rangers. And I know the Rangers have 1 fewer game played, but that's still a big disparity. So the Panthers are going to get shots on goal. They're going to get a lot of shots. They're going to go to the net. They did that against Tampa and against Bruins. So we'll see whether that makes a difference. The Rangers average 26 shots per game in the playoffs, which is not a lot. I know they make the most out of them. They have better shooting percentage, better snipers. But, they're going to have to make their goals count, because the Panthers are going to try to pepper you, forecheck, get it to the net, make you work every shift. So it'd be interesting to see. I just think, are the Rangers going to be more like Tampa, or are they really going to be more like a combination of the best of Tampa and the best of the Bruins? And in that case, I think the Panthers are going to lose in 6 or 7. But I also could see the Panthers physically imposing themselves a bit more, making it difficult for the Rangers and winning in 6 or 7. I don't think the series will be fewer than 6. They're too, too similar in terms of personnel for the series to be a sweep or anything like that. And the last part is just the mental aspect of the game. The Rangers finally were able to overcome it by beating Carolina. But, after those first two periods in game 6 against Carolina, they were down 3-1. It was starting to look like, is it going to happen again? They had a 2-0 lead against Tampa in the conference finals like 3 years ago, and they lost 4 in a row. They were up in Jersey, we know, last year, and, and looked like they were dominating and shutting them down, and then lost in 7. And Carolina kind of looked like they're going to make a comeback again and put some pressure, and just the way that they were playing, just the way the Rangers were playing. And then Kreider took over, and, that was awesome. So, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see whether the Rangers have overcome that mental, I don't say block, but just, kind of giving away leads and not closing out series against tough competition, or, or have they overcome it and are going to be able to hold on. I think the Panthers have shown they can come back from 3-1, even when they have the less talented team like last year. They can put away 3-1 series when they're up against the Leafs, against the Bruins. They swept the Hurricanes last year, even though all the games were tight. But again, a lot of overtime wins for the Panthers. So I think the Panthers are used to winning and playing under pressure and not panicking, even if they're down, trying to tie, trying to come back. They've done it again and again. So yeah, I don't know if the mental edge will be there for the Panthers, but it is an area where it is a point of question for me, where I would argue that I could see the Rangers unravel a bit more if they're like punching them out, or if the games are really, really tight. But they have the skill to be able to put it away with 1 goal. So yeah, we'll see how it works. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe. We're trying to grow the channel. We'll do more videos later this week to start to break down the conference finals. But just wanted to share some thoughts about some of the areas that we may not be thinking about as much. Again, the aggressiveness, the shots on goal, the forecheck, the 5-on-5 play, the mental, sort of aspects of the game. Who's going to stay composed? Who's going to keep hitting? Who's going to attack the net the most? And yeah, it may come down to power play, may come down to Shesterkin, may come down to the top 6 for the Rangers, but it may also come down to the forecheck for the Panthers, the 5-on-5 play. They're not losing your mind, not taking bad penalties. The Panthers have been pretty composed this postseason in terms of not taking a lot of penalties and not responding even when they get hit. Just take the power play. So yeah, let me know what you think. Is Struble going to lay somebody out, or is he going to get suspended? What's going to happen in this series? It'll be exciting. There's skill, there's size, there's everything. I think goaltending. So this is going to be a really exciting series, and the teams haven't really played in the playoffs against each other recently, so that also feels fresh and fun. So yeah, let us know what you think. We'll come back at you from the Florida Hockey Bros again soon. And yeah, thanks for the support, guys.